Waltman 4 says, so Twitter Files Part 2 confirmed that shadow bans were there. Yeah, they were called, what was it called? Visibility. I forgot the word they used for the actual term. But yeah, it also confirms that the admin UI was leaked during the 2022 hacker Twitter hacks. Thoughts? Culture, looks like you want to say something.
Yes, let's go through this because we already covered the Twitter Files Part 1. And now, yesterday, we had a huge dump of Twitter Files Part 2 from Barry Weiss. Now, Culture, can you take us through the highlights? Because it looks like you were itching to say something there.
Well, no, the only thing I wanted to add to what was on the screen there is that UI leaked way before that. I mean, it had leaked twice. 2020 was the second time that the UI had been released that actually showed that you could be deboosted, shadow banned. You could be blocked from trending.
Blocked from even searches, actually.
Yeah, search blocks. You could be. They identified if you had more than one account. They identified all this stuff, and it essentially just kind of broke it down. They even had a special area where they made notes on certain accounts, including libs of TikTok. That said, talk to SIPPES or what everybody kept calling sepsis last night. Thought that was fun. But which is a special group that included Vinya Gade, whatever you want to call her, and many other people that were high level.
Speaking of libs of TikTok, they also brought up that when the owner of that Twitter handle had their house and address
leaked,
doxed online, it took them like over a day to get back to them, and then they also said, "Oh, there's no violation."
Yeah. They did nothing about that.
It's still up.
That was okay. So doxing is all.
Imagine if that was like Anidia Sarkeesian or somebody like that.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, what their policy appears to be is that doxing is fine and dandy. Threats are fine and dandy as long as it's directed towards someone we don't like. And if there's someone that we don't like, who. And one have to keep in mind with what libs of TikTok were doing. They did not make any threats or anything like that. All they did was essentially retweet takes that people of a certain political leaning posted with pride and got loads of high fives and thumbs up and cheers for within their little echo chambers. It's just out here in the real world, they look insane.
And they don't like to be retweeted.
No, they don't like that. They don't like that by the wrong people. And for that, they basically had to make up new regulations and policies and invent new ways of how to screw them over. Libs of TikTok, that is, not the people they were retweeting. So it's quite stunning to see just what they were doing editorially there.
And brave.
And what I find like even more frustrating is that they're definitely doing the same thing on YouTube. If anything, even worse. That's my frustration with it, because on Twitter it was exposed. But you think that Twitter was unique or something? No. It's the same thing across the board. It's going to be the same thing on Instagram and everything. It's just that on Twitter, you now have someone honest who is exposing the shadow banning that's happening behind the scenes. If only YouTube would do the same thing.
Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting that Elon Musk said he wanted to buy Google and YouTube. I was laughing. But, I wouldn't put it past him to make the attempt. But I mean that would be something to reveal all that's happening in the background. And we already know that there's tools that are provided to the government to circumvent people's free speech. It's just even more in the spotlight right now. And I have a feeling that this is going to go on and on and on. Stuff we already thought we knew, but we definitely are having confirmed, because that's all this stuff is. And I managed to pull up the thread reader version of the releases last night, so I can show you. This is Dr. Bhattacharya. This is kind of a, what it looks like on the back end. Here you have active, recent abuse strike, trends, blacklist, strikes, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and that's where I was talking about the visibility, whatever it was called, where if you're being shadow banned,
Yeah, this is Dan Bongino. You guys might be familiar with him. He's verified, active. It gets all. This is what the back end looks like for anybody who was a moderator. So, and they had this on their phone. So this is why they never worked, because they could do their job from their phone to just turn people off. But you have notification spike. They search blacklist, et cetera, multiple accounts, NSFW. That really limited the amount of views you were getting, and all that. You have Charlie Kirk here.
I love how they decide what's NSFW.
Yeah. And again,
and the do not amplify, that's another version of being shadow banned too.
Yep.
That's the thing. There's 2 or 3 different things they can put on to basically shadow ban you, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, that just makes things worse, where they probably have something like must amplify, because then you're gaming the system in the opposite direction.
Well, and that's probably something that'll be coming to light in the very near future. This is,
I'm sure,
heavily amplify or whatever. This is the libs of TikTok one, though. You can see here, you have high profile, active, notification spike, trends, blacklist, recent abuse strike, Twitter verified. It has multiple accounts. Strike count 2, high profile, NSFW, and others.
Yeah, and this is the other thing they showed on theirs was they blocked them one time where they had proof they didn't do anything. Yeah. They just said repeated abuse. That's all it said.
See this top bar here where it says do not take action on user without consulting sepsis. Yeah. And that's an interesting thing. So you can see that the account that Libs of TikTok belongs to Chanya Rajchik. I can't say the name. Yeah. In November, 1.4 million, subject to 6 suspensions in 2022 alone. Each time Rajchik was blocked from posting for as long as a week. Twitter repeatedly informed Rajchik that she had been suspended for violating Twitter's policy for hateful conduct. But an internal sepsis, see, I think that's funny because it's a medical term. But anyway, memo from October 2022 says, after her 11th suspension, the committee acknowledged that Libs of TikTok was not directly engaged in behavior violative.
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah. And so it's a site policy recommendation. So it says site policy recommends that Libs of TikTok, 1.3 million followers not verified, in a 7-day timeout at account level, blah, 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 blah. And this is what it says with the assessment. Since its most recent timeout, while Libs of TikTok was not directly engaged in behavior violative of hateful conduct policy, the user has continued targeting individuals, allies, and supporters of the LGBTQIA plus community. For
alleged misconduct.
No, they don't. They just put all Libs of TikTok does is put it there. So the committee justified her suspensions by internally claiming her post encouraged online harassment of hospitals and medical providers by insinuating that gender affirming healthcare is equivalent to abuse, and the word we can't say on YouTube, for maintaining one's appearance.
Yeah, because God forbid you call them out.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, so this is all of that, including her being doxxed, et cetera, et cetera. But I found this fascinating. If you can go and find this Twitter unroll on Thread Reader app if you want. And it's just insane. The internal Slack messages, Twitter employees spoke using technicalities to restrict visibility of tweets and subject. Here's Joel Roth, Twitter's head of global trust and safety, in a direct message to a colleague early in 2021. A lot of times SIs used technicality spam enforcements as a way to solve a problem created by safety under enforcing their policies, which again isn't a problem per se, but it keeps us from addressing the root cause of the issue, which is that our safety policies need some attention. 6 days later, in a DM with an employee on health and misinformation, privacy, and identity research team, Roth requested more research to support expanding non-removal policy interventions like disabling engagements and de-amplification visibility filtering. So you can see here
that's the one I was talking about, visibility filtering. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it like I said, I mean, these people were actively trying to do everything they could, so you only saw what they wanted you to see. That's what they've been doing for a very long period of time, and it's exposed in plain sight for everybody to see. So here's the interesting thing. We got Jack on board. I'm reading the second part of this DM. We got Jack on board with implementing this for civic integrity in the near term, but we're going to need to make a more robust case to get this into our repertoire of policy remediations, especially for other policy domains. So I'd love to research POV on that, point of view on that. So that's absolutely insane. The fact that they got Jack on board, right? So Jack said he didn't know any of this stuff was happening, and he went to Congress and like testified. And here we are, let's see, this was another thing from 2021, from when this original thing came out. So he was testifying in front of Congress saying that they didn't have any of this stuff in place, none of these things happened, blah 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 blah. I find it fascinating. By the way, Barry Weiss launched a new service called the Free Press, TFP, the Free Press Initiative. It's a brand new news organization that's being founded. So just FYI. So these are you're going to be able to find this. So we're just getting started on reporting. Documents cannot tell the whole story here. A big thank you to everyone who's spoken, yada yada. But that's the end of the unroll. So you can go and read this whole thing for yourself, all 20 of them, from Barry Weiss, and her and Matt Taibbi have done a really good job here. I imagine this will be far more expansive